5 years ago, I started a flower farm with $500. I had no experience, no greenhouses, and I had no idea what I was doing. Now I'm selling out at farmers markets, making hundreds every week, and expanding my business. This started as a small project, but I always had big expectations. I made a lot of mistakes when I first started, and it took years of trial and error to get to this point. I had no knowledge and I didn't know anything about what actually sells. Now, the first year or two when I was making these mistakes, it was a total mess. I was spending lots of money on things that I didn't really need, things that didn't make me money, and I wasn't really making enough profits to fund these purchases, such as greenhouses and irrigation that was cheap and it didn't work, but I didn't know any better. Now, here's when things really started to change in my business. I realized that all of my problems were actually because I was treating a real, legitimate business at the farmer's market like a small garden project. I wasn't planting enough quantities to sell and look good at the farmer's market. I was treating this like it really wasn't something that I was taking seriously. Instead of just planting the crops that I like, I started planting the crops that actually sold at markets, the crops that made me money, and that allowed me to have more space for these crops and allowed me to actually scale my business further. Once I started planting these high value, profitable crops consistently, week after week, my revenue started to come in week after week consistently. This is exactly how you flower farm. When you put more into your business every single week, your profits just keep on growing as you put in more effort. Now, if you want to know the top 5 most profitable crops that made me the most money as a flower farmer, I actually made a whole video about this, and I'm going to link it in the description so you can go down and click that link and watch that right after you're done with this. Once I actually learned to think like a flower farmer and not a flower gardener, which is a huge topic in my ebook, my business started to finally explode. Now, once this money started actually flowing in, I didn't actually pay myself anything at all. I reinvested all of my profits back into my business. I built 2 greenhouses, one of which I'm inside of, and I invested in irrigation, better crop systems, better layouts, better soil, better seed starting setups, and most importantly, a better display at the farmer's market. Reinvesting in your business is essential to long-term success. Now, I didn't just pour money back into random things in my business. I scaled up by getting smarter, not just spending money. I put money into the things that actually made me profits, and I dropped the things that cost me money. Now, this business has honestly just been a huge process of trial and error. And if I could go back to the start, I honestly think I would have invested in education on flower farming a little bit sooner. That is exactly why I created the full flower farming blueprint that you can get to actually kind of jumpstart your flower farm. Learn all the beginner mistakes that I made in this book, and it'll actually give you a step-by-step guide to get started, what you need to focus on, and what you can kind of skip over. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to put the link in the description. There's a paperback version here. You can get it on Amazon. And there's also an ebook, which a lot of people like because they can actually read it today and get started right now. If you're trying to build a full flower farm or you're just trying to fund some of those garden purchases, it's important that you hit the subscribe button and like the video. It's going to let YouTube know to send you more of this free flower farming content in the future, and it's going to make you a smarter flower farmer or gardener. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out that video I mentioned in the description, and those ebook links are also down there. So that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.